Hey guys, Larry here, back with another video. Today's video is going to be discussing what Maliss is going to look like post-ban. Now I know obviously we still have a lot of these cards, Dormouse, Rabbit, Binder, all of these cards still exist at the moment, but I'm interested in trying to see what kind of combos we can do potentially when we get a ban list, depending on the severity and what Konami hits on the list, to sort of see if this deck is still viable, if we can still do combos. So I've got a bunch of replays today that sort of go through different lines, sort of pretending that Konami has made a decision to ban specific cards. So I've actually got a White Rabbit ban replay, I've got a White Binder replay, White Binder ban replay. I've got a couple of replays where Splash Mage and Cyber's Wicked have been banned, just to sort of see if some of these starters that we have actually do anything. Specifically with the Splash and the Cyber's Wicked ban, I've done two lines, one with Underground as a starter and then one with Gold Sark as a starter. So Underground one is a bit tough just because with the Splash and the Wicked ban it makes it really hard to extend through that. I've also done a Dormouse ban one. I'm not 100% sure what eventually will be hit on it. If it is a consistency hit, so say if we see Rabbit, Mouse, all to one, if we still have the links, then it's still technically fine, it's just less consistent. They could take it so many different directions, to be honest, so it's really hard to speculate. I think with my testing, the hardest one so far has been Dormouse ban. We definitely value having that extra body from Dormouse a lot, and it kind of makes some of the lines really awkward when you don't have the third body. White Rabbit being banned is definitely tough, but we have ways of getting to our traps through White Binder, through Maliss in the Mirror, being able to banish a trap. So it's really important that we sort of have a look at some of these lines and see. I have, with these lines, I have, it's tough to, with some of these cards banned, it's tough to play around all of the hand traps that you could possibly think of. Obviously these lines aren't really considering every point of interaction, and to be honest, it is actually really hard to play around Nib now if we have certain things banned. So I think that will actually make it a lot harder to actually combo with this deck. So let's have a look at some replays anyway. This one is a White Rabbit ban combo. So we'll have a look. Going Dormouse, we go White Rabbit, and then we're summoning Splash Mage. We're reviving out the Dormouse, and then we're making Ransom, getting Maliss in the Mirror here, and then we go TB11. So I guess if we don't have White Rabbit, maybe there's an argument to be playing TB11 again. I know that we've cut it a lot from our lists, as it's sort of a redundant trap. You can technically play just MTP and GWC. I do think you do need to play GWC at least after, if there is significant hits to it. But I think TB11 is value just because we get that extra body in the combo. So in this combo we've set TB11. There's a million combos you can do with Maliss, realistically. So it's a bit hard, and I'm not going to showcase everything today. There is definitely a lot of different lines you can do, and these lines are only considering opening one starter and no other sort of extenders, no like normal summons plus X. I feel like even with some of these cards being banned, Maliss can still produce a pretty strong combo and do a really good board. If you open those two card combos, which Maliss already is really good at doing now. So you've got Chessy Cat plus a Bestial, you can do like a normal summon, a Molcharmy, make an Almirage special backup. Even if you open multiple names like an Amarch Hair to extend, or maybe you hard open the wizard. And there's also an argument to play more ways to search those cards. So like AI meet you, and just sort of maxing out on the names that we have available to us. So definitely worth considering. But anyway, let's continue. TB11 goes banish Red Ransom, summons Hair out, and then we pay 900. Ransom comes back, she banishes Cheesy Cat, we trigger Chessy Cat, and then we'll go banish Mirror. We're gonna add, assuming we draw 2 blanks, but that's fine. We'll go banish TB11, search GWC with the Mirror. Then we link 2, and we're gonna make Wicked here. Link 1 makes Lingribo, and then we'll trigger Wicked, banishing Hair, add backup. Then we'll pay 300, we'll get Hair back. Specialing backup effect, we're going to get Wizard and then discard one of our a million imperms. I didn't discard there, but assume that I did. We're going to special Wizard, special back one of the Maliss names, and then we make Crypta. White Binder, sorry, Heart Scripter and these Wicked go into a transcode here. I want to talk about transcode for just a moment. So if we have White Binder banned, we actually have another link 3 we can go into here. So in this case, it's transcode. We can revive a 3, which is really interesting because getting that body back is actually good. Splash Mage can't get back Red Ransom, and we can't really banish it off Haggard Lizardos. So being able to revive the Ransom is actually pretty cool here. Next we'll go March Hare, banishing Crypta, pay 900, get Crypta back. And then we're going to turn the 2 into a firewall under the transcode, so it can't be targeted. And then we're going to turn the Crypta, the transcode, and the Lingribo into Accode. And then we'll revive Red Ransom and Transcode Talker. This is an interesting line. So we got 2 draws off the Chessy Cat. We got our GWC, which we searched. We got Transcode Talker, which points to Firewall, which means that both him and the Firewall can't be targeted, and they both gain 500. So this is 3k, this is 28. We've got a 33 Accode, which is a negate. We contribute the Ransom off, and then we can GWC it back, which lets us get some more adds and some more advantage later. We've got Firewall, which can add back our March Hare. So in that combo, we can get March Hare, and then we can banish Crypta, or we can banish off the White Rabbit, and then we can go ahead and get MTP. So there's a number of different ways. You can use the GWC to revive the Crypta, the Firewall gets back the Hare, banishes the Rabbit, so you can get both banishes. It's actually fine without the binder, to be honest. It's a little tricky. We have, obviously with the recursion and stuff, it can be a bit tricky. And then we really value the binder being able to banish 3 out of people's graveyards and even turn on our engine again and get some follow-up. But truthfully, it's not the biggest deal in the world. We can still do a combo and we still have different lines through. We've got Crypta, Accode, all of this stuff. So really, really fine, to be honest. That's a line with White Binder banned. So we'll move on, we'll do another line. So this line is 1 card Dormouse with White Rabbit banned, so the main deck girl. This one's interesting just because we have to play around the fact that we don't have a free set from deck, and obviously losing a main deck body can be really impactful. So let's see what we can do here. So we go normal mouse, we go mouse effect banishing March Hare. This is interesting, you'll see why. We don't have many names, so we're gonna have to get March Hare early. We pay 300, we get Hare back. We link off into Karibo, and we trigger Hare, we special, we banish Dormouse, Dormouse comes back, and then we've got our 3 bodies, so we'll go first into Splash. Now, the problem is, without having an extender, now you'll see this in these combos, not having an extender means that you're going to lose to Nib anyway, and there are certain things that you can't really help if your opponent chooses to just nib you and call you out if you don't have an extender. In this specific line, because we lose to nib anyway, we might as well try and get the best board that we can, in my mind anyway. So we want the extra body here because we're not going to get it from a white rabbit or from a trap that we could flip later. So what we do is we actually go splash mage here, revive the hare. We turn the splash mage and the march hare into a ransom and search off the field spell. Specifically field spell here, you'll see in a moment. We link the dormouse and the ransom off into wicked, and we go underground and banish the Chessy cat. So that's our third name because rabbit's banned. It's a name that we can trigger to put into wicked zone. So we pay 300 and actually trigger the wicked here, banishing the ransom. So that's how we get the ransom banish. And this is how we trigger our wicked when we don't have that many names. We're going to add backup, and then we're going to go ahead and summon back the red ransom, and you'll see a card come out in the moment, Dotscaper. So we were playing Dotscaper at the start of when Maliss came out. We didn't have much hair. We needed an extra name usually, or a body. It's a free banish off ransom. Dotscaper does conflict with Impulse, so please keep that in mind. It's an earth, but I think there's merit to putting him back in, just because being able to get an extra body from the ransom when it gets banished is really important if we don't have White Rabbit. So we'll continue moving on. You can definitely play without it, but it's a bit awkward. It kind of stunts how far you can go into a combo unless you do have that extender, or unless you're willing to burn some of these cards early and then play really badly into Nibiru, or any worse than what it is. So we're already playing into Nib as it is. We kind of want to hold our stuff for longer if we can, or check certain spots and see if your opponent will want to interact with you at those points. So go ahead and get Dotscaper out now. We'll link 3. We're going to make Crypta here. And then we're going to turn that into White Binder. So Binder, we'll go ahead and banish 2, 3. We'll go 3 just to get some names in the banish pile, and then we'll get Crypta back. When Crypta comes back, we will set something off our White Binder, which will be MTP. Remember, when we don't have White Rabbit, we can't set it later in your opponent's turn. So we have to actually just get it immediately, which is a little tough just because if we do get dusted, or if they do clear it before we get to use it, it's a bit unfortunate. But that's the only way you can actually get MTP in your combo without doing a line of searching it with Maliss in the mirror by banishing a trap, but then you need to have an extender, so it's a bit tricky. We'll special back up here, go ahead and add a wizard, and then discard a random card, specialing wizard here, and then specialing back March Hare. Crypta will now trigger. We will banish the binder and summon it back, paying 900, getting another card. Bearing in mind, these cards can just be extenders, these cards can just be non-engine, these cards can help you push through if your opponent has interacted with you at weird points, imperms specific things, ashes, whatever. And if your opponent doesn't have a nib or hasn't been able to stop you from comboing, any non-engine is really good, or any follow-up really, so these draws are good. So summon back the White Binder. We're going to turn the Crypta and the Wizard into a Firewall, and then we'll link the March Hare, the Binder, and the backup off into Allied Code, summoning back the Binder, summoning back the Red Ransom, and that's our board. So a few things to note with this. We've obviously got a really good board here of Firewall pointing to 3, so we've got 3 bounces. We can get our March Hare back. We can get a follow-up card if we want, like get our Wizard back or backup or something. We've got an Omni Negate here. We've got both of these on the field. We've got Ransom reversing at the moment. MTP is set, so we've got that banish. And then we've got any non-engine that we've drawn. So on your opponent's turn, obviously they'll attempt to play into the board. We've got an Omni Negate if things get a bit too crazy. Hopefully we don't get Dark Ruled, but naturally we've got a Firewall Dragon, so we can add back our Hare. We'll get Hare, and that will be able to banish the Crypta. The Crypta will be able to come back, and then we've got another banish there. We've put the Chessy Cat in the banish pile from our binder when we banished 3 in our turn. So that's the name that you need to return. And then we've got MTP, which can search us a follow-up card, get us Dormouse for next turn or another hare or whatever you want. That's obviously a lot to play through. They have to attack your Maliss link monsters as well, if that matters. Lots going on. So having White Rabbit banned it is awkward, I will say. There are definitely situations where you do miss it, and there are situations where it makes it a lot easier having that extra trap in your combo. Having to set MTP directly means that you don't have access to GWC, which can be a bit tricky. I do think that if you do draw an extender, you can do a different line where you can make you can do a Malice in the Mirror search, and you know, if you open any of the traps, you can banish the trap and add the other one. And then you can put it back in rotation with the Crypta back in your deck and set it off the binder, that's fine. Many different paths, but this is specifically the Dormouse line. Obviously, you're not resilient to every hand trap under the sun, but as I said, it's going to be really hard if some of these key pieces are gone from our combo. It makes being nibbed a lot more real, and it makes the deck's vulnerability to those sorts of cards a lot more stated. So we can still make a board. That's still really good. So yeah, that's that combo. We'll go ahead and do another line. This line will be the Dormouse ban line. I've got 2 different lines with the Dormouse ban line. It's going to look really awkward, unfortunately, but we can definitely still combo, but as you'll see, it's going to be a bit tricky. Now, I'll show you a line where we go through TB11, and then I'll show you, TB11 of course, but I'll show you a line where we go through GWC as our search, and then another one with MTP. So there are 2 different variations, ending on slightly different things and cycling through slightly different things. I think if Dormouse is banned, you probably need to play TB11, though obviously you're welcome to play whatever, but I found that this card does really help. So we'll go ahead and have a look at this one. So we'll go White Rabbit, set TB, and then we're going to summon Chessy Cat out, banishing the rabbit, summoning her back, and then we'll go ahead and make Lizardos. So the reason we're making Lizardos here, and the reason that we're summoning Chessy Cat here, is because we don't want to have to go through Splash Mage. Going through Haggard means that we're able to preserve making other things later on in the combo. You'll see that we're going to make an SP Little Knight to make our board a little bit more resilient at a certain point in the combo. And I think that going through Haggard means that if you do get nibbed, it means that you can turn that into a spider. And then if you have an extender play, you can then make the splash after the nib. So going through Chessy here means that we can use the Lizardos because Chessy hasn't been used. And it lets us have a bit of a backup play. So Lizard will banish Chessy, she'll come back for 300, and then we'll turn it into Ransom. Ransom grabs out the Underground. We'll go Underground, we're going to banish Mirror here. We're going to use the Mirror to banish TB11, and here we're going to get MTP. So this is the MTP line. You can do either or, the GWC or the MTP line. I'll show you both, and then we can make our minds up to see which one is better. But yeah, this is the MTP. So we'll banish the Ransom for the MTP. We're going to get Hare here. Ransom, pay 900, she comes back, and then we're going to banish Dotscaper. Dotscaper comes back. I think you do need to play Dotscaper if Mouse is banned, unfortunately. It's just too hard without it. I think you're just burning all your extenders to try and play. This is effectively a free body. You don't really care about it. Yeah, so we can continue playing that way. So we'll turn them into a Wicked, and then we're going to spend a special Hare into Wicked Zone, banishing Dotscaper, adding ourselves back up. At this point, we're going to special back up and use effect to add Wizard. Now we're going to turn these into SP. Now, if we were Cybers locked, we couldn't make this. The reason we're making this is that it makes our board a little bit more resilient to nib, as I said. We can blink two of our names, able to dodge and sort of have a bit of a board even if we do get nibbed. We can use wizard, especially in back hair. And then we can turn hair and wicked into white binder. Again, if they nib you here, you've got binder blink, SP blink binder, and then she can come back. So at this point, it's okay. But we'll use binder, we'll banish hair, and we'll banish Chessie. We'll add back hair. One thing to note, if they nibbed us prior to making the binder on the wicked and this, you can blink the March hair and get it back. That way you've got the follow-up that you might need to continue playing. You can banish the ransom later on and then in your opponent's turn, and then you can sort of get a bit of a board back. So that's good. So there's two different reasons why we want that SP there. But by the time we've gotten to this point, it's okay. We can reset the MTP back to our field, and then we can turn all three into Echoed. And then Echoed will revive White Binder, and we'll revive Red Ransom here. So in that board, really cool. We've obviously, we made Echoed, we've got our two names, we've got MTP, and then all the non-engine that we used to get to that point, or that we didn't use rather, that we still have in our hand if it was a one card combo. So that's the MTP line. I'll show the GWC line. This is the Dormouse Band GWC line. Obviously we're doing a one card combo here, but again, if you open Chessie Cat plus a Bestial, Chessie Cat plus backup, if we open Chessie Cat plus Rabbit or plus hair or whatever, like there's so many different cards you can draw with it. It makes it way better and it makes it a lot easier to combo. This is very, very susceptible to every hand trap you can think of. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, unfortunately. If you normal Dormouse and it got impermed and you had nothing else, you're passing before. So it's not really a big difference here. We'll go ahead and start. So we'll go White Rabbit, we'll set TB11 just like before. We'll go Cheesy Cat, off the TB, we'll summon back the White Rabbit for 300, turning them into Haggard again, and then we'll go Haggard, banish Chessie Cat, comes back, turn both into a Ransom, we'll go Ransom, searching Underground, so it's pretty much the same as what we were doing up to this point. We'll go Ransom, Underground, banish Mirror, and the Mirror will banish TB11, searching GWC here. So last time we searched MTP, this time's GWC. So we'll banish Ransom for the GWC, bringing back the Chessie, and then we'll pay 900, bring back the Ransom. We'll go Ransom, banish Dotscaper. So we've got three bodies here. Last time we would have added the hair, but this time we've got the body instead of the hair, I guess. So a little bit different, but now we've also got GWC in rotation there too. So we'll keep going. We're gonna make Wicked. I'm gonna turn the Dotscaper into a Lingribo, and then we're going to go Cyber's Wicked, banish the Dotscaper, searching backup. At this point, we'll special backup, and we're actually going to go ahead and search March Hair here. Normally we'd add Wizard, but because we didn't MTP search the hair, we kind of want to have a hair in rotation. And there's no other real way of getting the hair if we didn't already have it at this point, because we've already gone through Underground banish, we've already TB11 summoned a name. So it is a little bit tricky. So we want to get the hair here, and then that way we've already got it instead of having to try and get it later in the opponent's turn. We're going to discard one of our random cards for the backup, and then we're going to link summon into SP. Just like last time, SP here allows us to dodge the Nibiru and a bunch of other cards, so pretty okay to make this. We'll go March Hair, which will banish off Chessie Cat, and we're going to link those two into Binder. We'll go Binder effect, we'll banish March Hair, and then we'll add back March Hair, and we'll trigger White Binder, and then we'll reset the GWC to our field. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. You don't have MTP. This is the GWC line, of course. It ends on Firewall. So couple of ways you could have gone about it. You can definitely make a Crypta if you want. So you can have Crypta with all your stuff banished. You don't have to sort of make the Firewall if you don't want to. You can commit another body to the board earlier and make Allied Code and then revive. That's a bit risky because it sort of sacrifices your follow-up, and it makes you know, you don't have GWC. You also, yeah, it depends. If you opened an extender, you can definitely go for a better board. Firewall here is still pretty resilient. So if we have a look, so we can go GWC in the opponent's turn. We have GWC and hair. We can go hair, banish the white binder. And then the white binder will get us a draw. With that white binder, we can banish the white rabbit. White rabbit will come back, and then we can get the MTP that way. So that's pretty cool. We've of course got GWC, which can revive Ransom, which searches us another underground. It's not that bad, to be honest. It's a little bit weaker just because we don't have Crypta live, but we've still got an MTP. We've got a bounce, and there's lots of different decks that can really struggle if you bounce their normal summon or bounce their thing at a very key point. So number of different things that we can do with that one. So all in all, I'd say this is probably one of the more tougher situations to be in if you're a Maliss player, having Dormouse banned. But you can still make it work, I guess. It's obviously going to depend a lot on whether or not we have other hits as well that really hit the consistency of the other cards that we rely on. But yeah, that was the Dormouse line. That was the MTP and the GWC. I want to show off one more line and then a bonus line. So this line is, so it's pretending that we have Splash Mage and Cyber's Wicked banned. We have Maliss and Underground only. Now we're gonna see just how detrimental it is not having those cards in our combo. Underground doesn't really get you that far anymore when you don't have your Splash Mage. It's not really the best starter to have anymore. Not that it really was, but now it doesn't really produce as much as we want because we don't have the way to link climb with the link 2s. So let's go through this anyway. We can see we go Underground, we'll banish Dormouse, we'll go Dormouse. I'll show you what we would usually do under this, and then I'll show you what we probably have to do now if this is your only starter. So before we would go Dormouse, we would banish White Rabbit, and then White Rabbit would set us anything from our deck, MTP. At this point, you're kind of looking at it and you're going, what do we do here? Wicked's banned. If we don't have an extender, it doesn't matter, but Splash Mage is banned. So if we can't revive. The two girls have used their names, so use their effects, and MTP getting a hair doesn't achieve anything because we're gonna have to banish one of the names off to get the hair, and then it doesn't come back. So what we're gonna do instead is we'll go Underground and we'll banish White Rabbit. White Rabbit comes out and we're gonna set MTP. At this point, MTP will flip and then we'll banish Rabbit and we'll search Dormouse. So we haven't normal summoned, so we'll go ahead and normal summon Dormouse, banishing Chessy Cat. Her Chessy Cat effect, pay 300, she'll come back, and then we'll go ahead and make a Haggard Lizardos. Lizardos will banish Dormouse, which hasn't used its effect, and she'll come back, and then we'll turn the two bodies into Red Ransom here. Red Ransom triggers, we'll get Malice in the Mirror. So I just want to show a couple of different paths you can take with this specific line. They're all not great, I will say. But this first one ends on Malice in the Mirror plus Red Ransom, and a bunch of stuff in the graveyard. You can do that. Alternatively, you can go ahead and make Binder with the lizard and the mouse. You can go ahead and banish Chessy, don't have to. We'll set GWC here. You can stop there if you want. You can use GWC in your opponent's turn to summon back White Rabbit from the banish, and you can set MTP if you want. You've got a banish, and you can search follow-up there. Or you can continue in your turn, and you can use the Binder, banish the Binder off the GWC. You get a draw. Hopefully you get something cool. If your hand's pretty weak and you're starting with Underground, you might value that draw. Or you just want to dig into more cards to survive the next turn. That way, maybe you're able to play a bit better the next turn, like with some of the cards that you have set up. So you can do that. That's not the greatest, as I said, but you've got a choice there. You can make that. I'll also show you a different line. So you can go Dormouse and you can banish March Hare here. So we're at the point where we underground for White Rabbit, we set the MTP, we banish it, we got the Dormouse, now we've normaled it, and then we get the March Hare banished. March Hare will go ahead and get the, Dormouse will banish Hare, which will come back, and we link it off into Lingribo. And then we'll go March Hare banish to Dormouse, which hasn't used its effect, pay 300, and she can come back. You've got Ransom, as I said, which, I mean, you can do that with the other lines, so there's no real point in going through all of this if you don't want. You've got White Binder, which, again, leads you to the same situation that you were in before, except you can, you know, you've got MTP here, you can set GWC if you want. It's not great, but you can. You can also do Crypta, which this is the only line that gives you the option to make Crypta, which in its own right is pretty good. She is live as well because you'll have the White Rabbit banished. So with Underground, you can set up Crypta with one banish, and then whatever non-engine you've got in your hand, that might let you be able to play, if that's even a Mulch Army or something that you draw later on. If you draw a card and it's any monster, you can turn the Crypta into an access, Crypta and the monster into an access code, banish the Crypta, pop something, summon back to Crypta, and then you're rocking and rolling. So Underground by itself is pretty tough, especially if those two links are banned. Also worth mentioning that you lose the attribute of water if you are going through a Splash Mage line, but of course you've got Haggard Lizardos if you choose to do that, so you still get that water. But it really does hurt when you do get nibbed, because a lot of your plays were turn token into Link Spider, and then you summon a name, and then you make Splash Mage and revive, and then make a Link 3. Well, you can't really do that if Splash is banned. So yeah, so that's also a card you can play. You can play Transcode. Transcode, if you go through that line, you pretty much revive something, and yeah, we'll make Transcode here. We'll show. We can revive Lingribo, and then what? You can make a Firewall, but you don't have anything, right? You don't have anything to really make it live, which not the greatest thing in the world. So that's the Underground line. As I said, having those two links will make it, having those two links banned will make it really, really difficult. I'll show you one more bonus line here. This is Gold Sark line. So this line here is if you open specifically Gold Sark and we're pretending that Splash and Wicked are banned. Gold Sark by itself is actually better than Underground, and you'll see why in the instance that those two links are banned. It's pretty much the same thing, except you can then use Underground later in the combo to extend. So let's have a look. So we'll go Gold Sark, we'll banish White Rabbit, we'll go White Rabbit effect on summon, we'll set MTP just like before. We're gonna add Dormouse off the MTP, and then we'll go ahead and normal it. And then we're gonna banish March Hare, add it to hand, pay 300, which I forgot to do. We're gonna link into Lingribo, we're gonna pay, use March Hare, and then we're gonna summon back the Dormouse, and then we're going to turn all three into Ransom. So Ransom now, we'll pay the 300 for the last one, yep. Ransom will get Underground. So this is cool because we started with Gold Sark, we didn't go through Underground. So Underground's alive, we can search it and we can get another body. So that's actually pretty cool. We can banish Chessy Cat here, and then we'll go ahead and make SP here. So this is the difference. Being able to get that extra body on this combo means that we can make SP and we can go ahead and banish our Ransom. So Ransom banishes, comes back for 900, and then she'll banish the Dotscaper out of our deck. Again, it's a choice if you want to play Dotscaper, but if we're losing a lot of cards for the Maliss deck, you probably want to have more lines of combo than not, especially if we lose main deck names as well. But we'll banish Dotscaper, he'll come back, and then we'll turn both into a White Binder. Go White Binder effect, banishing MTP and our Chessy, and we'll go ahead and set 06 here. We'll go 06, banish the Binder, summon back the Chessy, and then we'll gain 20... Ooh. Oh, we'll gain 15, sorry. And then we'll pay 900, and then Binder comes back and we get a draw. So at this point, we can turn all three into Allied Code. and then we can use effect to revive 2 of the ladies, and that's our board. So pretty cool. We don't, a couple of things, we don't need to banish this MTP, but you can put it back with Crypto later and reset it. You can leave it in the grave and set it off binder later. But it's still cool that we can make the board without having to go through splash if we open Gold Sark. So it's actually better to open that one if that's the only one you have. Lets us get that extra body, which lets us push. And then SP, being able to banish Ransom is really cool. At the point that we use the GWC to banish off the binder, you can choose to not set the MTP and, sorry, not banish the MTP and then reset it to your field. But at that point, we only had 2 bodies, so we only had the Ransom and the white binder, meaning that you can't really get to a Hearts Crypta with the MTP set, which is a bit of a bummer. That's why having any extender is really good. Can't be a normal summon, unfortunately, just because we needed to normal Dormouse. But if we're going, if we're say at, like open to backup at Ignista, then we can do a different line with the banish spell with the underground or the Gold Sark, and then we can special backup, and then we can go from there. So yeah, so I just wanted to showcase a few lines. Obviously, we don't know what Konami is going to do, how they're going to hit this deck. I really, really love the deck, and I'm really keen to see if we can still keep playing it after they do their ban list. As I said earlier, if it's a consistency hit, it's just harder to sort of draw the cards you need to combo. If we're losing pieces, that's a different story. So we're going to have to see what they choose to hit. They could hit something completely different that I haven't even considered. They could hit MTP, they could hit a random card in the extra deck. Who knows, right? Only time will tell. So thought I'd put this out here and waiting patiently for that list, and we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Please leave any comments. I definitely appreciate any feedback that you guys have. As I said earlier, these combos are not resilient to to a lot of hand traps, so appreciate that. Yes, you can imperm at certain points. Yes, nib will hurt at certain points if we're assuming that things are banned and that we don't have an extender. But as we know, Maliss is one of the best decks to play through these hand traps and Nibiru and stuff with these extenders. So hopefully you enjoyed, and thank you very much. We'll see you next time.